Hi, everyone, and welcome again. And I'm so excited about this new podcast with my host, Alan Porter of Strategic Wealth. And the show's going to be called Strategic Wealth Strategies. And he's going to teach us how we can have a tax-free retirement. That's huge, Alan, isn't it? Thanks for stopping by.
Well, it is because people don't know this. And I was told I've got stage 4 pancreatic cancer and I was given 6 months to live. And that's what got me to do what I do now. I'm retired military as a Black Hawk instructor pilot. I retired back in 1993. I loved flying. I had a passion for it, and I love serving my country. And I've not had a passion for doing anything until some tragic things happened to my family. My son became completely disabled over 15 years ago. And 3.5 years or 3 years after that, his wife, Lynn, at age 39, called me January 5th, 2010, and said, Alan, I've been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. They've given me 6 months to live. That changed my entire life. It's also changed my family's life and my client's life, because what this did for me, I started to learn about insurance products, because I was like 99% of the people out there that think insurance is a death product that you have to die to benefit from it. But it's not. And it had not been for the terminal illness rider on Lynn's insurance policy, because there was a huge financial problem. My son's still not getting his disability. He only got his disability that summer after we hired an attorney. And but with this terminal illness rider, she was able to access up to 90% of the death benefit, which was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, completely tax-free, which I had no idea. My son would be bankrupt, and it took a huge financial strain off of me. A few years after that, my daughter, after giving birth to her third son, contracted breast cancer. She had 16 chemo treatments, a double mastectomy, 35 radiation treatments, and now she's eight years cancer-free, thank God.
Yeah.
And then a few months ago, I had to go back to my state of Nebraska, where I was originally from, and put my brother in a nursing home. He's got dementia.
Oh my. So
things have happened to my family, but if it had not been for insurance products, my family would be financially ruined. But what I want to show people are the financial strategies the wealthy, the banking institutions have been using against us for years. There's no reason we can't do the same thing. I show people how to reduce their debt, reduce or possibly eliminate both debt and taxes, and compound interest for you instead of the financial institutions. But one of the first things that I got into was tax-free income, because it's not how much money you have in retirement, it's how much money you have after taxes. But Neil, what I want to do, I want to share my screen with you if I can right now.
Absolutely, go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you see this? Got the big difference?
Right.
Okay. Now, when I talk to people, there's three things they don't like to talk about. They don't like to talk about death, they don't like to talk about taxes, and they don't like to talk about insurance. There's a lot of people out there who don't even like insurance. But this is what I show them. And people will probably know more than 95% of all the CPAs and financial advisors out there if they take anything from this presentation today. Now, when I ask people, I said, would you rather spend $1,000 a month or a year, or $10,000 a year on a life insurance policy for a $500,000 death benefit? They all tell me, well, $1,000, Alan. I said, well, why is that? Well, it's cheaper. Well, I understand it's cheaper, but the only thing you're going to get out of it, and this line down here is set by the actuaries of the insurance company, and the only thing you're going to get out of that is term life insurance. And Neil, if you live one day past life expectancy in a term life insurance policy, there's no cash value.
But and those term life could be 10, 20, 30 years. So once that's over,
the longer you live, the more expensive the term life insurance policies get. You may have the same amount of money invested in this term life insurance policy up to life expectancy as you'll have in this cash value life insurance policy, whether it's a whole life or an index universal life policy. But this death benefit may be $1.5 million, and you've got $800,000 or $900,000 in a tax-free cash account that you become your own banker. Now, here's something that really caught my eye. See, there's a line here right now. there used to be no line up here. And the banks, the wealthy, the people who knew the tax laws, what they would do is, as an example, they put $100,000 a year into for this $500,000 death benefit.
Okay.
Well, of course, they don't need that, but all that money was growing tax deferred, and they're getting their distributions tax free. The
So
government,
after,
oh, we can't
yeah.
have that.
So I'm going to break this down more because again, you know, Alan, you're the expert in this. However, when people ask these questions, they might say, whoa, what are you saying now? So you said that the wealthy, and this is the word that the show is going to show you guys, the wealthy. Everyone wants to know the tricks of the wealthy. How do they don't pay as much in taxes? How do they have more money than we do when we save and different things like that? And the first thing you brought up is they put more money in one of these plans. And then when they do that, they can take it out when they want to, right, Alan? That's one thing. They can take it. Yeah.
They're in total control. But see, there used to be no line here. And the government says, well, we can't have you taking this money out with tax redistribution. We're losing too much revenue. Well, the revenue was going to the people that knew the tax laws and how to use them to their advantage. So in the late 1980s, the government's put a line in here. And if you put any more money than what the government allows, they treat it as a modified endowment contract. And they'll treat it just like a qualified plan. And you lose all your tax advantages. So what I do, Neil, is I do a maximum efficient contract. I will take and put as much money overfund the policy to get, because I'm doing this for retirement income, to get the minimum amount of life insurance and the most money going to grow your cash value, which is tax free. Now, understand this. They put this line in, if you put any more money into it, it's called a modified endowment contract, and they treat it just like a qualified plan, a 401k, an IRA, or things like that. And Neil, when I asked people, I said, why do you invest in a 401k? It's a tax deduction. I say, I beg to differ. It's a tax compounder. Because let me see, go back to the farm. Would you rather pay taxes on the seed, or would you pay taxes on the harvest, the larger? Well, you know the government wants you to pay the taxes on the harvest.
Yes.
But here's the problem: we got a $31 trillion deficit, and I just read an article by the Congressional Bureau Office that taxes for the wealthy in the highest tax bracket may go to 65%, and the people in the 10% tax bracket will increase by 2.5 times. That's 25% tax bracket.
Yeah.
People don't know this. If nothing changes whatsoever, right now, in January 1st, 2026, the people in the 12% minimum tax bracket will automatically go to 25%. That's over 100% increase. Now, we have a progressive tax system. All the other income tax levels are going to increase, but not that much. But think about all the people that live in that 12% minimum tax bracket. That's the majority of Americans, but it's going to double. So I said, if you can pay taxes on the seed and save yourself a tremendous amount of money, then you don't need that 401k. Yes, you can have your stock portfolio, but putting the money in the 401k as compared to putting in a cash value life insurance. And now I'm going to show you some real shocking evidence of why you should put your money in a cash value life insurance.
Right. So you were saying before it was easy before 1980 that you then once they did that, then there's a specific number as a cutoff so that you can't make that tax.
No, because if you put too much in, it's called a modified endowment contract, and you lose all your tax advantages, which are absolutely huge. So again, I asked people, I said, what grows tax deferred? They all come back, well, my qualified plan grows tax deferred. I said, well, I agree with you. But so is cash value life insurance, whether it's an index life insurance policy or a whole life insurance policy. Yeah. I've got both of them. Actually, I've got 7 policies. I said, what gives you tax redistribution? They all come back, oh, my Roth 401k, my Roth IRA, municipal and educational bonds. I said, well, I beg to differ with you again. Now, cash value life insurance gives you tax redistribution, But if you have a educational or a municipal bond and you live in a state other than where those bonds are issued, you have state taxes to pay. And if your estate tax, I mean, if your estate is large enough, you have estate taxes to pay. And understand this. They also affect the taxation of Social Security and the means testing for Medicare Part B, which I've had no financial planner or CPA ever tell me about.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you something, and I'll explain this next point. Does not affect taxation of Social Security. There's only two products that I know of: cash value life insurance and your Roth 401k, Roth IRA. Now, if you make more than $44,000 a year right now, being married at age 65, and make $3,000 a month of Social Security, do you realize, Neil, that 85% of your Social Security is going to be taxed?
Yeah.
A lot of people, well, I've already paid taxes on my Social Security. I'm never going to pay taxes again. Well, guess what? Up until 1993, nobody paid taxes on Social Security. It wouldn't surprise me within the next few years, everybody's going to be paying taxes, not just 85%, probably 100%. But the problem with Social Security, Neil, it's a math problem. I think it was enacted in 1935 and
Yeah.
first taken out at 42, I believe. But you couldn't take it out till you're 65, but life expectancy was 62. And I believe there were 42 workers for every one individual. Now you can take it out at 62. Life expectancy for a man is 85, 87 for a woman. It's even longer if you're married.
Right.
And there's only 3 workers per one individual. In 8 more years, there's only going to be 2 workers per one individual. So there's a huge math problem there. But the thing is, if you're in a 12% minimum tax bracket and you make $44,000 a year of outside provisional income, such as a 401k, a pension, or something like that, and you make $3,000 a month or more in Social Security, 85% of that Social Security is going to be taxed. Now, understand this, Neil. That puts you in the 12% minimum tax bracket, 10.16, I believe, effective tax bracket, because we live in a progressive tax system. What you're going to do, you're going to pay a check to Uncle Sam, provided taxes don't go up, for over $6,000 a year.
Right.
That's huge in retirement.
That's crazy.
And it also affects the means testing for Medicare Part B. Now, Neil, I'm retired military, and one of the things I was promised, I would never have to pay for my Medicare. I mean, my
Right.
Medicare for as long as I live. Well, we have to apply for Medicare at 65, which I did. But because my adjusted gross income, I have to pay $6,000 a year just for my health care, because your AGI, your adjusted gross income, goes for the Medicare testing of Medicare Part B.
So it seems like there's a lot of hidden taxes doing it the way that they teach. The 401k, the Roth IRA, the other types of plans versus purchasing life insurance. A lot of us talk, and a lot of people that just follow that rule, Alan, go 401k, they buy term life because they listen to people out there that, hey, you get term life insurance and put the rest away in stocks and bonds.
Yeah, that's Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey.
Yes.
Now, I agree with about 50% of what they say.
I do too. It's good.
But I don't know if they're licensing anything. But when they say buy term and invest the difference, that's the absolute, when it comes to life insurance, that's the absolute worst information that can ever be put out. They can't be a fiduciary and give information like that, because it's not the best interest of the client.
Yeah. So what are we going to talk about in life insurance? You kind of explained why term's not a good idea. You also talked about specifically enough how we get destroyed in taxes, because remember, a 401k, all those things, you might not be taxed now. You're going to be taxed at the end. But with this product, you're never going to be taxed.
Never going to be taxed.
That's huge. So how did you think, so I want to go first. How did you figure out the system? And then we're going to talk about specifically enough whole life products. Is that our goal for today?
Well, we've got whole life, but let me go down the rest of these bullet points here and explain these, because nobody understands these. And it's just like your 401k. I talk to 99% of people, they have no idea what the fees are in their 401k. Now, this is a Forbes report I think it's by Morningstar. The average, maybe not Morningstar, but it's put out by Forbes. The average fee in a 401k is 2.99% across the board in the United States. Now, Neil, A 1% fee will reduce your income over a 30-year period by 1/3. A 1% fee.
Oh,
They don't know that. And they don't know what they're invested in. They may be invested in target date funds. They may be invested in mutual funds. Mutual funds have over 4% fees.
yeah.
But here's the thing, too, high contribution limits. I've never had anybody put too much money into a life insurance policy. Now, I've done tens of millions. I'm working on one that's over $100 million. There's billionaires that have life insurance policies, and they're many hundreds of millions of dollars. They don't need life insurance. They've got plenty of money, but they need a wealth transfer vehicle to pay the taxes on their estate so their family can maintain their estate. Cash value life insurance is the greatest wealth transfer vehicle available today, bar none.
Wow.
Now, this next point I want to bring up, additional benefits for long-term care. And I know this happened to me because it happened to my 39-year-old daughter. I'm a daughter-in-law. If it had not been for a terminal illness rider, which let her access up to 1 year diagnosis on a terminal disease, the death benefit for long-term care, like I said, my son would be bankrupt. And now my brother is in a nursing home. But understand this, long-term care will affect 70% of all Americans. 40% of everybody on long-term care are the ages between 18 and 64. And this is an age lab study put out by Dr. Pokorski at MIT University. If you're married at age 65, there is a 75% chance of you, your spouse, contacting Alzheimer's, dementia, or Parkinson's. Now, Neil, long-term care costs between $50,000 to $200,000 a year, and it's going up about 6% every year. Now, I've got three of my friends. I'm 69. They're 5 years older than me. One of them died last summer of Alzheimer's. The other two sit in nursing homes, rotting away. They have dementia and Alzheimer's, but they don't know themselves. They don't know their family. And then I just put my brother in a nursing home. I mean, it's very, very sad. They're very sad diseases. You go in there, they don't even know you.
Right.
All they're doing is sucking your family dry of all the retirement. Your long-term care can devastate a millionaire's retirement because they're not planning for it. I tell everybody, you've got to have a plan. I don't care what you're doing. If you don't have a plan, make one up. If you've got one, let's improve it. Collateral opportunities. Neil, this is one of the greatest things that people need to take advantage of. You become your own bank. As Einstein said, compound
and it's
interest.
exciting to learn this because when I met you a couple weeks ago on my show and we decided to do this podcast, I'm like, wow, this is huge, these collateral opportunities. Tell us more. Yeah.
Well, the collateral opportunities, like Einstein said, compound interest is the H1 of the world. Those who understand it will profit from it. Those who don't are going to pay it. Well, 99% of everybody in America pays it because they're in debt. People are in debt and massive records. And I have another podcast where we're going to discuss just that particular area. But as an example, there's three different types of loans when you get cash value life insurance policy. One is called an index loan. One is called a wash loan. The other one's called a participating loan. And let's say, Neil, that you're a successful businessman. You got $1 million death benefit. You've got $200,000 in your cash value account, which is tax-free, that you have access to. And you need a $50,000 piece of equipment to buy for your business to improve your rate of return. Well, you can go to the bank and fill out those forms. You may or may not get that $50,000. And if you do, you'll have an installment loan.
Yeah.
What's that?
You might not always get it either.
No. But if you do, you'll have an installment loan, a 6-month note, a 12-month note. And if you don't pay that loan back, they're going to repossess it and ruin your credit. Now, if you have $200,000 in that account, in your cash value account, your life insurance policy, you can take that $50,000. That's your money. Call the insurance company 2 days later, you'll have a check. I know I've done it myself a couple of times. But the thing is, Neil, you don't even have to pay the loan back. It just comes off the death benefit. It accrues interest, but the only people that will not benefit from it are your beneficiaries or your favorite charity.
That's crazy.
But as an example, I've got 5 index policies and I've got 2 whole life policies. And with this one company I'm with, I've got 3 policies. I got 3 policies with them, but they guarantee me a 5% interest rate on any money that I borrow. So what the insurance company is going to do, they're going to put a lien against your death benefit. your cash value continues to compound. But they're going to put a lien against your death benefit. As I said, you don't have to pay that loan back if you don't want to. They're charging me 5%. But what they're going to do, they're going to put that into a financial entity that's, say, making 3%. They're going to credit me with that 3%, so I'm only paying 2% for my loan. Now, the next form of loan is called a wash loan, and you can do this with certain riders immediately. What they'll do is they charge me 5%. If you buy a rider for that, they'll credit you back with 5%, so you're paying 0% for your loan. But as an example, if you've been with a company for 10 years, or the insurance company's going to put that money into a financial entity that's making 5%, they're going to credit you with a 5%. So you're paying 0 for your loan.
Right.
But this is what I do. This is what the banks do. This is what people know the tax laws, and this is what the wealthy do. It's called a participating loan because we're guaranteed by contract never to have a loss due to a market downturn. Okay. We're not even tied to the market. You use indexing strategies to grow our cash value. And there's many different types of indexing strategies. The 500 S&P 500 index, the Barclays Dynamic Balance Index. There's dozens of them out there. But as an example, Allianz has one that's the easiest to explain. If the S&P 500 index, as an example, goes up to 0, 1%, or makes 20%, you're automatically credited with 7%. So if they're going to credit you with that 7%, you're only paying 5% for your loan. Okay, you're making 2%. It's called arbitrage. Banks do it every day. You got a safety or a savings account. They're paying you $100,000 in, and they're paying maybe 1%. They're going to take that money out and loan it at 5, 10, 15, 20% for credit cards. They arbitrage it. That's one of the ways banks make money. But this is what I show people, how to become your own banker. Now, another thing, safe harbor. You're guaranteed by contract, as I said, never to have a loss due to a market downturn, the no loss provision, and the guaranteed loan option. That's absolutely huge because it may be 18 months before you get a return on investment on that money that you borrowed, and you can start paying it back then. You can pay it all back, pay part of it, but you're in control. I had a speech. I spoke at Harvard some time ago, and there's about 150 people, doctors, lawyers, successful businessmen. And I said, you need to think outside the box and have liquidity, use, control of your money, and not the banking institution. Find out what's best for you and make it work for yourself instead of financial institutions. Compound interest for you instead of financial institutions. Unstructured loan payments. Again, I've just discussed that. It's so important because you're in control of your money.
Because you're paying every month, and then you decide to take some of it out. It's yours, and it's just you're paying it, and you're not losing any of it. You're gaining as
right. And like the other thing I said, liquidity, use, control of your money. Just you don't understand how important this is. When I talk to people, I said, would you rather have a $400,000 house paid off, or mortgage to the hilt, but you have access to a financial entity that you own and control, such as cash value life insurance? And Neil, probably, I would say 95% of all people I talk to, well, I want my house paid off because that's what we've been taught. Our house is our biggest asset usually. Well, guess what? What if 2008 happens again and you lose your job and you can't pay your taxes and insurance? You're going to lose your house. But if you have access to a financial entity that you own and control, you can borrow from that. You may delay whatever for a couple of years, but you're not going to lose your house. You're not going to lose your credit. Now get a load of this one. Back in 2008, you had a $400,000 house. 6 months later, it's especially if you had your house paid off, now it's worth $300,000. You have no liquidity in your house. You have no control of it. You just lost $100,000 that you had no control over.
It's crazy.
And when people understand this, it creates a paradigm shift. It lights a light bulb in their head, thinking, "Oh my God, I need to rethink a lot of things that I've been doing."
Totally. The stuff that you're telling is amazing. It's because you're looking at things and saying, why am I going to pour money into a 401k, an IRA, get taxed at the end, potentially taxed during the beginning, getting a little bit of tax benefit. But yet, if I pull that money out, how much am I paying? If I say I'm going to cash out my IRA right now, 10 years before it's supposed to be.
Well, first off, if it's before 59.5, there's a 10% penalty. But Neil, understand this: the government controls everything about your qualified plan. They control how much money you can put into it. If you make too much money, you can't even contribute to a Roth. And here's something else that people don't understand. And I've got people that are 65 years old, and when I tell them about required minimum distribution, they go, "What's that?" I said, "Required minimum distribution. It used to be at age 70.5. If you do not take out the required amount the government says from your qualified plan, it's a 50% penalty plus all the taxes."
Mm.
And now, because of the new Secure Act that took effect about a year and a half ago, it's now at 72. But the thing is, the Secure Act changed everything. If you've got an IRA that you don't want to use, you got plenty of money. Perfect example. I had a gentleman had $1 million in his IRA, and I said, "What are you going to do with that?" He says, "I'm going to will it to my grandson." I said, "You can't do that." I said, "First off, I think I kind of perturbed him because I said, 'Whose is that?' He said, 'Alan, it's mine. There's my name right there at the top of the account.' I said, 'No, but you've got a partner in this.'" And at that time, he was in the 39.6% federal tax, not state tax or anything else.
Mm.
I said, "You've just lost 40% of that in federal taxes."
That's just terrible.
He said, "I didn't realize that." And then I said, "What about your required minimum distribution?" He says, "Well, what's that?" 65 years old, didn't know what that was. And when I told him he's going to lose 50, he's going to lose over 90% of his money between penalties and taxes. He says, "Oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?" I said, "Well, we're going to take for 5 years, we're going to take $200,000 a year. We're going to pay the taxes on that, and then that will become a Roth IRA, and you no longer have to worry about required minimum distribution. And that money can grow tax-free the rest of your life, the rest of your son's life, and the rest of your grandson's life until he wants to access it." Now, that's going to be millions on millions of dollars that's tax-free. But
Right.
the thing is, the way you're doing it, even with the Secure Act, you cannot, there's no such thing as a stretch IRA anymore. If you've got an IRA and you die, it can go to your spouse. But if you die, that money has to be spent in a 10-year period, and it's taxed at your kid's tax rate, not yours. So that's going to possibly put them in a much higher tax rate.
Oh, that's terrible. Now,
People don't know.
based on this money you're saving, it's a great for college too, in two ways. How is it great for
Oh,
college in two ways?
I'm writing another book. I've got 5 books out right now. I'm writing another book, and this is going to be the chapters that goes in my book. It's the greatest college funding vehicle without a doubt. First off, there's no market risk. It's self-completing. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say you got a set of twins back in 2008, and they're going to go to college in 2009, and you had $100,000 in your 529 plan. First off, if you don't use it for higher education, it's a 10% penalty plus all the taxes. But 2008 hit 2009, you just lost almost 50% of that 529 plan. Now, what are you going to do?
Oh yeah, that's the other thing you brought up. If you're saving for college and you're not going with like those, the bonds, right? You know how like grandma buys or certain people buy.
Right.
You basically could be close to your child's time, your kid's going off to college, and the market crashes at that time. You're out of luck. All that money
Exactly.
saved, you got to wait another 10 years to give it to them, and then it's too late.
Yeah. And I've got my granddaughters. I've got them whole life insurance policies because it's self-completing with the paid up.
These are things. Trust me. Why we're doing this show, Strategic Wealth Strategies, because the reason we're doing this is ultimately we're teaching people in so many ways how they can be able to live like the rich, become debt free, and keep their money. And then one of the things you talk about also is, and I wouldn't think about this, you can't be sued for it. Kind of explain what that means.
This is absolutely huge, especially for doctors. You're protected from litigation, liens, judgments, and liabilities. It's absolutely huge. You can't be sued. I mean, you can somebody can come in and sue a doctor for whatever, but if he's got money in cash value life insurance, they can't touch that money. Absolutely huge. And it avoids probate. This is another huge thing. Now, you know what probate is?
Probate is a situation so that they go to probate court or different things. They're going to look at your assets. So basically, let's say you end up dying, and then specifically, then it's going to be this big fight for everyone who's going to get the money and different things, and it goes possibly to probate court, where then they're going to cash out the house, look at all the different assets, and that's going to be taxed. And then it's a process of not having the fights in between. Kind of explain how that avoids probate. Am I on the right
Well,
track of what
I've
probate?
got, yeah, I've got a definition for probate. It's a lawsuit. It's initiated by you that you're going to pay for and you're going to lose. Because what happens if you don't have the right will or a trust when you pass away, your estate's going to go into probate, and the government's going to decide where that money's go to which beneficiaries, how much, whatever. And it's also you'll have attorneys involved, and attorneys make 6 to 12% of your estate. That's just another thing that just gets me up there. But here's the thing: I don't know whether you remember. Uh, well, yeah, I know you remember Prince, the entertainer from
Yeah.
Minnesota that died a few years ago. His estate's still in probate. That family's going to lose 75 to 85% of that
Also,
estate.
yeah, and also in probate, you have to deal with the courts.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
The courts don't. The courts decide based on not always the fair thing. It's who you've hired as lawyers and who has the most money at the end of the day. So you want your kids to be going after, and it's based on that versus that. And by avoiding probate means if this is this is a life insurance policy, it's basically cashed out, and then that specifically is already the beneficiaries already chosen. So there's no changes in that. You could only change that, and that won't go to probate. Is that what you're talking about?
That's well, that's one of the things. Like Joe Robbie, he owned Joe Robbie Stadium, the Miami Dolphins. He was worth almost $400 million at one time, but he had no estate plan, and his family got next to nothing because I believe they had to sell the team and the stadium just to pay the taxes on the estate. But people need to plan. I mean, it's just there's so much out there that needs. And it's just the other thing with a qualified plan. The government can change anything they want. They can get you in a higher tax bracket than we're already talking
Right,
about.
right. And this is the thing. At the end of the day, let's just say you raise your taxes. They raise the tax for when you're cashing out your 401k IRA to another 20%. All that money that you saved and worked hard for is gone. And this is where I am shocked. I've never learned this, but from you. You've taught me this. I had no idea. I even at one point tried to become a licensed insurance agent, and I never learned the things that you're talking about now. And it makes you think. And then the thing is, you're going to do is your income and estate tax free. So explain that so that it's tax free. Go ahead.
Well, it's like I said, it's estate tax free. It's income tax free because the death benefit is tax free for your beneficiaries. Cash value life insurance is the only financial product out there that will protect you if you live too long through the tax-free policy loans. If you die too soon, with the death benefit, it will help your family. So, or if you get sick, with the long-term care benefits. And Neil, the reason I learned this stuff when I was a Black Hawk instructor pilot, I read one manual, and that was the operator's manual for the Black Hawk. But I knew every nut and bolt, the stability augmentation system, the flight path stabilization system. I had plenty of emergencies. But I got the aircraft down without loss of life or limb. I tell people I had a safe landing for every takeoff and I dodged all the bullets. And I wasn't a big reader until I got to do what I'm doing now. I probably read 4 or 5 books every month. I attend seminars and I increase my knowledge because that's one thing I want to do. I'm very, very passionate about what I do. I want to educate people, as I said, on the financial strategies that the wealthy
Exactly.
and the banks been using. Banks have over $187 billion of cash value life insurance as one of their top tier 1 assets. It's twice as much. Wells Fargo, I believe, has 20 billion or 23 billion. And it's twice as much as what they have in real estate.
And people right now, if they wanted to know from, again, our podcast, Strategic Wealth Strategies, with our host, Alan Porter, where can people get in touch with you right now?
Well, you can look up here to the top of the screen there. It's my name. There's my email address, strategicwealth, the number 0 at gmail.com. Or you can call me at 910-551-1046. Now, I want you to also know I'm a certified financial fiduciary. But not only do I have a moral obligation, but I have a legal obligation to look out what's best for my clients. And I've got a team of people I work with. I treat my business just like a doctor. I'll ask question after question. And I expect these questions answered because if I come up with some feasibility study or some financial plan without those questions answered, without knowing what's in your heart and mind, what you want to accomplish in life, it'd be malpractice. And I got a team of people. If you want to do stocks and bonds, I'm a registered investment advisor. I have a team of people that will do stocks and bonds. They'll charge a fee. But a problem I have with that, with most financial advisors that do the stock and bond portfolio, If the client loses money, they still make money. I mean, they
Exactly.
don't make as much.
It's
And
huge.
I got a kick out of this one commercial, and I'm not going to mention the name, but they have it on TV. We don't do commission sales. We structure our clients' portfolio so we make more money when they make more money.
All right.
You probably heard that, but they also didn't mention we still make money when the client doesn't make money.
Exactly. All right. And the best place we know is to check it out at the top. It'll be in the show notes as well. Appreciate it. Alan, look forward to next week's podcast. Again, guys, this was Strategic Wealth Strategies with Alan Porter. Great conversation. Look forward to the next one. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much, Neil. I really appreciate it.